here you are. The next topic is genetic inheritance, and you can see two people that bear some resemblance, I believe. So this is a legendary actor called Arnold Schwarzenegger. Is an Australian, I believe. So this is his son. So genetic inheritance in this context refers to how organism inherit, or how traits are being transferred from parent to offspring. So in this case, from father to son. Of course, what I'm saying, some of us look like our dad or our mom, or both of them in different parts, but not like half like that. We maybe the shape of the nose is from dad, then the eye color is from mom, all of that, so to say. So that explains that. So basically speaking, is the study of what transfer of gene that brings expression of gene to organism. That's what it is. It's a study of different factors that brings about expression of genes in organism. I mean, you have the genes, if it's going to show you or not. Now, this is very important. This is there's a lot here. I will just quickly explain. This is very, very important. Please, very, very important. Don't forget, this is for Gcse curriculum. All right. So the term gene, if you see my other video, refers to a section of the DNA that forms protein, or that forms amino acid that then comes together to form protein. Then the chromosome, of course, is that structure within the nucleus that contains DNA. So like I always say, this is how the arrangement is. You have nucleus. Inside the nucleus, you have a chromosome. Inside the chromosome, you have DNA. The section of DNA is called gene, and the gene makes amino acid which forms protein, or either way. So that is very important. Now, one thing you want to remember is this gene, usually in genetics, will represent the gene with a letter. We could just say I want to choose letter A to represent a gene for, say, eye color. All right. Now, this particular eye color can be expressed in different ways. We can say brown eyes or blue eyes. So for the sake of simplicity, it will make sense if I can use this same letter in different ways. So normally, an allele is the different version of a gene, so alternative form of a gene. So if I say for the brown eye, I pick letter A, then uppercase A, then for the blue eyes I choose lowercase a. So what that simply means is that brown eye is dominant. Why? Because in genetics we normally use capital letter to depict something that is dominant. What does dominant even means? It means a trait you can see. For example, I'm quite dark in complexion, so that means the trait of being dark is dominant in me because you can see it. My fingers are quite long because I'm tall. That means the trait of being tall, height, is dominant in me. All right, I mean, tallness is dominant in me. So now the thing is, so allele is an alternate form of a gene. So just know that allele is just the ways, because for simplicity, you should know that the gene can be in different forms. It can be expressed in different forms. For example, when I mention height, if I say height, somebody can be tall or short. So for being tall, there's an allele to represent that, but it's going to be the same. It has to be the same letter. For simplicity, you can't use different letter. The moment you use different letter, you're already referring to another gene entirely. So one gene, one letter, but you use different alleles to represent that. Now bringing us to something called homozygous. So if the alleles are exactly identical, like two upper cases like this or two lower cases like that, that is called homozygous. Homo, same. While if it is, heterozygous is when the alleles are not identical, say one uppercase, one lowercase. Please bear this in mind. That uppercase always represents dominance. All right. So that brings us to this one, which is dominant allele, which means the one that can express phenotypically. All right. I will come back to this shortly. Then we have recessive allele, which means it's present but it's not showing. For that's what is denoted by lowercase. Now, one thing you don't want to forget is this: anytime any trait represented by the recessive allele, or by the lowercase recessive allele, the only way it can show, express, is when it is a homozygous form like this. It does only way. So for example, I say A is for black eyes, Then small a is for blue eyes. If an organism has this, that organism will be black eyes. Why? Because this a is dominant over this. All right. But if the organism has something like this, that's going to be dominant. That means the organism will be blue eyes because there's no other dominant allele to overshadow this one. So it's just all by itself. So it's going to be expressive. That's what recessive allele means. It's not showing, but it can only show when it's in the homozygous form. Then, of course, gamete simply means reproductive cell we have, which can be the male gamete, which is sperm cell, or female gamete, which is the egg cell, or ovule in plants. Instead of saying egg, well, we can also use egg in plant anyways, but that's not for the moment. So phenotype just talk about physical appearance of an organism, observable trait, what you can see. It doesn't have to be, it can be behavior. Yeah, it can be color, it can be behavior, it can be structure. So it depends. Then genotype is basically genetic makeup of an organism. So all the genes summed together in an organism represent its genome or genotype. Yeah, both of these words can be used interchangeably. Yeah. Okay. So the next thing you want to remember is something called monohybrid inheritance. What does that even mean? Monohybrid inheritance simply refers to when you are dealing with just one trait, nothing else, just one trait. That means that, for example, if I was talking about height only, that's monohybrid. If I was talking about, say, shape of fruit or seed, that's just only. Once you're referring to just one trait, that is monohybrid. I mean, you're just referring to that. So now it says, I think you have to pause the video here to read this so that you can make most of it. I don't want to take time explaining. So, but you should remember that you're only referring to one trait, but this trait can have different version. That's where students got confused. Like, okay, when you say monohybrid, how come you're saying two versions? Now, if I say height, I just said that in the last slide, I can be tall or I can be short. So this tallness will be represented by an allele, and this shortness will be represented by another allele. But bear in mind that they are still referring to just one trait. Say, for example, I say eye color, even though eye color is not just two, but I mean, just know that it is when you have monohybrid, even though it's one trait, but you have two versions. There should be two expressions of it. All right, that's why you need to remember the word alleles very, very well. Okay. So all of basically what I've explained is here. I mean, just read through this. Like I said, I don't want to take our time explaining too much. For instance, here it says an individual may carry two copies of the allele. So that two copies of the gene. Basically talk about allele, determining the eye color. But one allele might dictate the brown eyes, while the one dictate the blue eyes. So this allele is under one gene. So when you hear two copies of the gene, but what that actually means is it's one gene. So these two copies refers to the alleles. That's what it means. Two copies, like saying copy one, copy two, different forms of a gene. That's what an allele is basically. All right.